Hi, I'm Nat, and we're here in Mexico City outside of the CPAC conference, the Conservative Political Action Conference that is organized by Eduardo Verastegui.
Hi, I'm Nat.
And I'm Guy.
And this past Saturday, August 24th, we went to CPAC Mexico 2024, which was organized by Eduardo Verastegui. CPAC is a conservative political action conference, and it happened for the third time here in Mexico City.
Oh, don't make it sound so serious. It was a good time. It was fairly serious because it's politics, but they had a lot of good speakers. They had Kari Lake. She didn't show up, but she was scheduled. So hopefully next year, Kari, you come on in. They also had Tulsi Gabbard, who was actually really great on stage. She spoke Spanish and she really connected to the audience, I think. So that was also fantastic. Our most high profile interview we were able to get was with Robert Malone. And we really thank Robert for taking the time to answer questions, not just to us, but to all the media there.
Yes, and the conference itself was very well organized. There were a lot of speakers, and last year, the year before, there's also been a lot of other high profile speakers. But with this one, I think they focused a little bit more on Latin America.
Whoa, hold on. We forgot the most important speaker of all. The last message that came in was Donald Trump.
Yes.
He sent a video message down to CPAC Mexico, and it was specifically for the Mexican people. It was an absolutely lovely message. So I guess we'll play it up here in just a moment so you can see it.
It's my honor to address the freedom-loving patriots gathered in Mexico to celebrate the timeless principles that unite conservatives all over the world. Together, we're fighting to preserve our culture, protect our sovereignty, defend our way of life, and uphold the timeless values of freedom, family, and faith in Almighty God. So important. As president, I was proud to work with Mexico to advance the interests of our two nations. And as 47th president of the United States, and we're looking good, we're doing very well in the polls and all other places. I look forward to working closely with your nation once again to protect our borders, defend our traditions, and uphold the rule of law. In both Mexico, the United States, and all throughout Latin America, our citizens want safe streets, honest government, secure borders, and prosperity for our people. Working together, we can deliver all of that and more. So thank you very much. I really have great respect for CPAC. I'm glad to see they're in Mexico. God bless you. God bless America, and God bless Mexico. Thank you.
And it's great that Eduardo Verastegui, who is the one that's spearheading this whole movement, as small as it is right now in Mexico, he has those connections in the United States and within a lot of other conservative movements. The president of the CPAC International was here too to speak and to also conduct some interviews with other speakers. And that was pretty interesting. We also had the director of communications in Spanish of the RNC, which is the Republican National Committee. He was here. We're very thankful. He answered two questions of ours, one in English, one in Spanish. And he was trying to answer.
I almost forgot Rick Garnell. Rick Garnell stole the show. I didn't know who this gentleman was until he spoke on stage. And he really talked about some very interesting things, such as the Nord Stream pipeline, the secret meetings in Venezuela to try to get Maduro to leave the country, things like this. So I'll make a video in a few days of that, but that was an absolutely amazing interview.
And again, as I was saying, Jaime Flores was here from the RNC, and he spoke on what is missing in the Mexican conservatism, the conservative movement here. Because we did notice at the conference, and I mean, it was great to go, and one of the first really immersive experiences we've had since we arrived in Mexico about 2 months ago, to see where it is and where the movement is, or if there's even a movement.
Well, they're missing the Charlie Kirk effect, and they're missing the populist uprise from the youth. Now it's there if they can activate it. So if they can get Charlie Kirk to come down here and advise people on how to start activating a political movement amongst the youth who are already there, because there's a network of religious schools and young people that were actually at this conference.
Very few
that are well raised, well put together, come from two-parent households. They love politics and they like debate. So they're far more well prepared than an American youth or a Canadian youth was at this point. The conservative movement here right now is very small, but they have this base of network of schools of young people that could take the mantle of a populist conservative movement.
And again, I think the movement here is really stuck still in the George Bush style era of conservatism. A lot of richer, higher profile people, not so much the regular people that have normal concerns. The conference did highlight a lot of these issues, and they did bring along a lot of the other big Latin American figures like Agustin Laje, who's from Argentina, and he is essentially been spearheading the movement in all of South America. He has a lot of interesting books. He has a lot of interesting things to say, but we're missing that element here, somebody that can speak more towards the people rather than at them.
Yeah, I would also reiterate it's the George Bush conservative movement here, and it's ready for that populist influx of young people. Now, when I criticize the conservative movement here, I do it with good intentions. I want to move them in the right direction because I don't want them to win an election. I want them to win the culture, and once they capture the culture, the elections will come generation after generation, so you can make a multi-generational movement within Mexico to really benefit the country and benefit the people themselves, not the elites, not the academics, but the people.
And why is it important to make a movement here? Because essentially all the older regular parties, for example, the PAN, which used to at one time be considered the conservative party here. What?
No, just keep talking about the PAN, because the PAN was the conservative movement and they've turned liberal.
Yes.
What they propose and what their platform is claiming to be conservative. The youth pointed this out to us
that we spoke to two very young kids, and one of their main issues was that the PAN is no longer conservative, and they're catering to what they think is going to be what most people are going to rally around, which is starting to be the whole progressive, the pronouns, the drag queens, let's let everybody do whatever they want. And
well, I'm not even gonna just blame the PAN. Hold on here. I'm gonna say it's almost every party. The leftist parties try to pander to conservatives, so they put these little conservative things in their platform because there's a huge underbelly of young religious people and just religious people in general.
Catholicism is very...
So they're trying to pander to that side of the vote, but in pandering, they're really turning them off. Mm-hmm. And because there is no strong conservative party yet, there
is no home, and the disenfranchisement right now is very palpable. And with these two young kids that were there, very few of the ones that were there, they were really willing to speak up and they wanted to talk about it, and they came up to us and they started speaking to us, and they had very, very interesting points. Like, they talk about politics amongst their friends, which is something I believe most people think the youth don't care about here. The youth don't care about in general, but I think them being able to watch things on the internet, being able to see what's happened in the United States, in the UK, in Canada, and now seeing it happening in their country, that's starting to wake them up and starting to say, let's do something about it.
I talked to the one kid and I said, well, how did you come into conservatism? And he said, well, during the pandemic, he was studying online and everybody started picking on him online. So he started researching conservative talking points so he knew how to debate and defend himself. And he said a lot of kids at his school and other religious schools had the same experience. Mm-hmm. So they're really suffering. The conservative young people are suffering from a backlash of this liberal agenda in academia.
Which is what was happening, again, about 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago in the States and in Canada. And they were able to use that and potentialize the movement towards going to speak to the youth, and Charlie Kirk at universities and Steven Crowder starting debates. And then all of these figures started coming up. And I think there is a way to have those figures come up here in Mexico too. They just have to be willing to do so. The problem is, in Mexico, you do have the added danger of not just, online hate speech, violence. They said mean things to me, but you have the real danger of maybe getting kidnapped, maybe getting harassed and targeted by actual criminals.
When we talked to the young people specifically, they felt safe to share their ideas within a conservative environment, which was the conference. But we asked them, why don't they share their ideas outside of that? And they're scared.
Mhm.
They're scared of backlash from not only liberal academia and mainstream culture here, but they're scared of actual physical violence and kidnappings and things of this. So if a young movement does happen, I think they're going to have to maybe conceal their identity so they can feel safe online and engage in debate without their faith.
And
Which is
also
a shame.
doing it amongst themselves with their friends and in person and starting to speak about these subjects, which they seem very passionate about. And I mean, again, if you're young and you're in Mexico or you're anywhere, just pick up a camera, pick up a microphone, make a meme, post something online. And yes, you'll get backlash, but you'll also be able to see that there's so many people that actually agree with what you're saying that why weren't you saying it before? So it was encouraging to see that there was a conference, that there was some sort of political.
I don't know. I can't remember if we mentioned, we did see Rebel News there.
Oh, yes.
We're from Canada.
Being from Canada.
Rebel News is huge in Canada. If you haven't checked out Rebel News, they're becoming more of a global news organization right now, but it was really good to see a friendly face and to talk to them.
Yes, it was great to see other reporters also from the Epoch Times, for example, in Spanish. And
Well,
more
it wasn't so great to see the Epoch Times. They actually shoved you aside.
But it wasn't their fault. We were in a kind of like a scrum in front of Robert Malone, I believe. But it was great to see more independent media. There were also the traditional print media that is still very big here in Mexico. They were mostly not conducting that many interviews. They were mostly just writing. But it was great. First of all, thank you to CPAC Mexico for letting us in and letting us interview and letting independent media in. I think that shows a willingness to be more open and to be more known.
All these organizations should be letting independent media in. So continue the good work, CPAC, and we look forward to it next year. And you've really arranged all the pieces for this movement. Now, if we can just bring the Charlie Kirk effect in, I think we're going to have a winning party one day if you guys decide to do that.
Or at least a winning movement to combat the wave of progressivism that is going to come.
Yeah. The culture is I think the culture under Morena is going to go extremely left, but hopefully the conservatives can counterbalance this.
And it's encouraging to see at least some people still care here.
Okay, shall we?
But for now, thank you for watching. Again, we're a small channel. Please like and subscribe. The full 9 hours, I believe, of the conference are also available to see online. We will link that one down below. And thank you to CPAC.
I'm going to clip some of the CPAC over the next few days, especially
the interviews that we were able to do.
The better interviews that I liked. And I will say, there was something else I wanted to say. Oh, everybody that came up to say hi to us at the event, it was very nice. There's actually a lot of people that spoke English I was able to talk to, so it made me feel a little bit more at home.
To the ones that didn't, we spoke Spanish as well. We tried. I speak Spanish. But muchas gracias CPAC Mexico por tenernos y por darnos el espacio. And for now, we hope you have a lovely rest of your day.
Adios.